Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Quarantine Film Series. I'm your host, Kabir Segal, coming to you live from the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for joining us. I want to say hi to everyone watching. Hi to my mom and dad who are watching downstairs. And all of you at home, quarantining together. We're together at home again. The Quarantine Series is an initiative to put the spotlight on creative people, filmmakers, authors, musicians, people who are really adding some soul to our lives, right? They're creating the incredible pictures that are keeping us entertained as we stream at home. So if you can, please support the projects you learn about on this broadcast. I think it's important to do. Also support those in your community, right? A lot of film festivals have been canceled. They're streaming online. So help out the local film festival or the local musicians or the local book shop. Let's be there for the creative community. All right, so if you want to learn who will be on the show, pretty simple. You can just follow me on social media, subscribe, and you'll get notified as to who's on and when they're on, so you can start studying up. And in addition, let us know where you are watching from. Got Atlanta in the house, got Southern California in the house today. Drop a comment. I always like to know about all the international places, everyone in Canada and South America tuning in. So always great to know where you're tuning in from. And if you have a question, I don't have to ask all the questions. Let us know what's on your mind. You can drop a question in the comment field. And, if you're watching live or if you're watching on the rebroadcast, I'll try to opine to your questions. Okay, now for the main event, get to meet the wonderful artist. She truly is wonderful. She's an award-winning filmmaker, hyphenated individual, exhibited photographer. Ask her about that. We'll talk about her new film, Lola, and one of her other pictures, Meeting Brown, which explores the lines between love, race, and racism. Very modern story there. Please welcome to the Quarantine Series the incredible filmmaker herself, Ana Lydia Monaco. Welcome.
Hello. Happy.
Hi.
Is it Wednesday already?
Exactly. Hump day. So tell me first, Ana, how has the quarantine impacted you personally and some of your projects?
Wow. So before quarantine, I was working in film development. Once quarantine hit, there was obviously no development. So my job was pretty much, eradicated, if you want to put it pretty dramatically. In terms of the project that I was working on, which was Lola, which I shot over the summer during Corona and in a post-Corona world, we had to change a lot of the scenes. We had to change the script. Some of our actors actually got a lot of changes because of Corona. The budget obviously shifted a lot due to us being a SAG compliant production. We had to have an intimacy consultant as well as a Corona consultant and all the PPE that was necessary. So that increased our budget by 30%. Not to mention that we were crowdfunding this film in the middle of a quarantine. Surprisingly, we not only made our goal, but we exceeded our goal and fundraised our entire phase 2 budget within 4 days of our crowdfunding campaign. So that was one part of it. Another part, my film Meeting Brown, I sold it to Shorts TV. I sold them the broadcast rights, and we didn't have a date of when it was going to air. It aired during quarantine, and that was like another thing that things just shifted around. Now in post-production, the team that is working on our music, their father got Corona. So we had to delay finishing our music for almost 10 days because of that. So everything from like changing the schedule to people being affected, to the cost of the film being more expensive, to changing of locations, to changing of the script. I mean, what the film was planned to be to what it ended up being is an entirely different thing. So like I tell people, I got my PhD in filmmaking now. If you can make a film during Corona and do it right, you can do anything.
I like how you said that you're an advanced martial artist and making these films, and I appreciate you
Mhm,
going into the complexities of filming
mhm,
according to the
mhm.
protocols. How do you spend your typical day? Like, what's the day like? And is there a routine? What's the rhythm of your day like? I think people who watch this want to know just
Mhm.
about how creatives structure their time.
Right. In the beginning of the quarantine, back in March, I got really sick, not with corona, or as far as I know. So there was 2 weeks where I was literally in bed, and what was not available for anything. But then after that, it hit me like I have a film to make, and it's going to be made in July. So a majority of my time was spent doing pre-production of my film. I also structured my day. I created like a little grid that I shared on social media, and listing my goals for the day. Everything from like, I'm going to organize my closet. I'm going to finish knitting, crocheting that scarf that I haven't finished. I'm going to read an hour a day. I'm going to, meditate, go to virtual mass. I'm going to walk X amount of time and exercise. I'm going to do master classes. So in the beginning, I really tried, after being sick, I really tried to create a grid, and I shared it publicly with a lot of people. And honestly, it helped me and it helped a lot of people. And then one time I realized that each day, especially as things, picked up with work or didn't pick up with work, or things take a little bit longer than we estimated. People are not working at the same rhythm as we did pre-quarantine. Before, we would do 2 or 3 things at the same time. Now I feel like a lot of people are really being super focused on the one thing that they're working on, and nobody's upset at that. So things take a little bit longer than they did pre-quarantine and even in the beginning. And I'm okay with that change rhythm of doing things for longer lengths of time, of knowing I still have a to-do list. Obviously, I still have books to read. I still, meditate. I still exercise, and I still cook and do all these things that you need to do. But I'm not as like 2 hours this, 3 hours this, 1 hour this. I just make sure that I just block the time in my day to do the things that I need to do, and keep two separate to-dos, one personal and one work.
Very smart. I hope people are taking
Mm,
notes
mm,
at home, because the way you segregate and section off your day is, I think, creates discipline.
right.
And we can see how you achieve so highly with that discipline. Let's talk
Mhm.
about, you talked a little about Lola. Let's talk about this film, what it's about. And it's very exciting. Tell us the stage that you're in right now with the project.
We are literally in the final stage. We are just finishing up music. And like I said, our composers were affected by Corona, so that delayed us by about 10 days. We were expected to be done like this week. We're not going to be done for another week, week and a half. Um, for Christmas, anyone that invested or more, all of our cast and all of our crew. This is before we start submitting to film festivals. Another process that we're going to try to do is to pre-sell it, and sell it to possibly the airlines, or go back to Shorts TV to see if they want to buy it, do the Amazon, do the Hulu, we're going to reach out to everyone to see if we can pre-sell it, because obviously film festivals are still up in the air, and we're still kind of figuring out, is it worth it to submit to a film festival when we don't actually have a film festival? We don't actually have a place to go to and screen our film in a theater and connect with other filmmakers and producers and buyers. So I'm still, a little up in the air to that. So with that, I'm definitely considering pre-selling our film.
It's a good plan, and I hope it can materialize. Obviously, it's difficult out
Same.
there, but I know you're
Yeah.
you're a seasoned veteran at this by now. Tell us about the initial reaction to the film. Those who have seen it, what is the response on the early viewings?
Actually, we started right from the get-go, doing various stages of screening, from the rough cut to the second to the third. And it was seen by, because my background is in marketing, so I'm always big about getting case studies and getting audience feedback. So I made sure that I got feedback from both men and women of different nationalities, of different ages, of different parts of the country and international, to get their feedback. So far, the final cut, only very few people have seen it, and that is without color and without final music. And the feedback has been extremely positive. one of the first things that people bring up is the fact that they haven't seen a plus size Latina since real women have curves, and how important it is in for representation, especially of Latinas, to see somebody of size. Another thing that people are saying, which is also quite different than a lot of films, that this is not trauma porn. This is not poverty porn. This is a story about a woman that is undergoing weight and societal bias with in the medical community as well. And the only thing that's really missing from her life is self-love and self-advocacy, which is not something, these are films that are usually made by white people for white people. This is the first time that it's made by a team of multicultural filmmakers, written by a woman of color, a woman of size, and it has a woman of color, a woman of size in the lead role. So people are loving the story, are loving the representation, are loving the beauty, like the thoughtfulness to every single detail of the film. There's like a thread of color that hopefully filmmakers, like huge film fans, are going to be able to notice it. There's color grading that changes from the beginning to the end that, unless you have really good eye, you'll notice. There's even a song at the end of the film, which I call Lola's song, which is our anthem, that is being composed and written. It's an original song that's being made just for our film. So there is so much positive impact. Every time I get feedback, I screenshot it and I put it in a little folder. So I read it when the days get tough and something else happens to slow us down a little bit. But definitely excited. I think it's a film that not just women of color, but people in general are going to really appreciate the message of regaining your voice and regaining the power of yourself.
Right. I want you to put your producer hat on for a minute. And how do you think about building the teams out for your project, but in Lola in specific, how do you know which editor and the music person? So what do you look for? I know it's a broad question, but talk about team building in the film world.
Team building is extremely important, and people undervalue that, especially since a lot of filmmakers, they work with the same people over and over again. And if you hear, a lot of them will talk about, like, this was, the first whatever that I worked with since high school, since film school, since whatever. So building a team is not just important in terms of the skill that they bring, but the energy that they bring to the set and to the project. I like to work with people that are resourceful, that are thoughtful, that can bring something of themselves to the film, because at the end of the day, each one of us adds a little bit of element to the final story, to the final, to what we end up presenting to the world. It's not just an Ana Lydia Monaco film. It's a film that was made by, so many professionals, so many creatives, and I do expect people that come to work to have a unique point of view, that are respectful and mindful of the story that we're trying to tell. It's not about us. It's about a bigger mission. Even though the character was inspired by something that I went through, the character's not me. She lives in a fictionalized Los Angeles. So I expect people to respect that and to treat the character as her own person and her world as its own world, and, and help paint it and help create something that's bigger and beautiful. Obviously, we want to work with people that are professionals. You want to work with people that know what they're doing, that have a good reputation, that are hungry, especially when it's a short, because this is not a feature, it's a short. You have a little bit more flexibility. You want to work with people that can work on this tight of a deadline, this quick of a pace, because it's a quicker pace than a lot of features. And I don't shoot 12-hour days. I shoot 10-hour days. So you have to be quick and on it and professional. And I run my sets like actual film sets, like general market film sets, because that is my background. So everything I do comes from a bigger experience. So I expect the people that I bring to the team that get that and want to work that way. If they still want to work kind of in a, unprofessional, kind of janky, kind of, toying around with things, then they're probably not the best people for me. And I just want people to bring the best. Like they want to connect with a story. They believe in this character. They believe in this world. They want to make magic, and we want to make magic together and have a great time time doing it. Like, you don't want to work with people that are miserable ever. I mean, some people do, but I don't.
Yeah, I hear you totally. I appreciate sharing that and going into that team building aspect of it. Let's switch gears and talk about Meeting Brown for a second. And what is that film about? And it's a very modern story. So why did you find it so compelling to get involved with it?
Well, I'm a woman of color that's married to a white man. So I married him I met him right when Obama took office. So I got to see how racism started, getting out of control in all aspects of our life, including with my in-laws and his friends. And I got to see a lot of things, and many women that are women of color that were dating white men were experiencing these things. We see a lot of stories about Black and white relationships. Sometimes you see Asian and white, but you never see white and brown. And there's so many of us that are married to white men. We're actually the largest percentage of minorities, at least at the time, that married outside of their race, specifically with white men. So being that nobody's talked about it, nobody's done it in a serious or dramatic way, I started exploring this by interviewing a lot of women that were dating white men or married to white men that had experienced bigotry and racism and microaggressions. And again, I created a world, I created characters, the ideal, the perfect Latina. She's not too dark. She doesn't wear like the red lipsticks, the big hoops. She's not the stereotype. She's educated, and yet she still is confronted with racism and bigotry from the perfectly professional white male best friend during an afternoon game. And she has to come to the realization that if she chooses to continue this relationship with her fiance, that she may have to give a part of her culture up. By the same token, if he marries a Latina, he's going to have to be more understanding to her needs and understand her culture and defend her when she's in front and confronted with microaggressions. It was a story that a lot of people connected to, not just Latinos. I actually had, when I first screened it at Art Center, I had some men come to me, and the first thing they said, I thought this was a joke. I didn't mean to be mean or racist, and they had no idea. A lot of women of color, specifically Asians, they really connected to the story because they hear a lot of these things, and they're like, "Thank you so much for putting this in a story. This is exactly what I feel when I hear these things, and nobody's been able to, show it in a film." It was quite an impactful film. It won several awards, and again, I sold it, which is very uncommon for shorts. Most people, once they're done with a short, some video or it's on YouTube, but this film got shown to the world. So I'm very proud of it, and I hope that it continues to live on, and that people learn from the story, and they're better humans because of it.
I like it. You have the Midas touch with shorts. It's nice to know someone like you. What do you think more needs to be done to make this, I guess, people more accepting with stories like this? More films need to be made. What shift in our culture? I mean, you're helping make the shift in the culture, but having made something like this, is there anything you can recommend for society to sort of move in this direction that's more humane to each other?
In terms of having biracial
exactly.
stories,
Exactly.
I think that you just need to be open to the stories made by creatives, young creatives, and creatives that are entering this industry at different stages of their life, and their perspectives, which may be a little bit different than the stereotypes that you're used to. Literally had this conversation with some producers earlier today, and I asked them, why do you want to make a film in East LA? Latinos don't just live in East LA. And so I posed to you that question. Why do you want to make a film where everybody's Latino? Why do you want to make a film where everybody's Black? Unless you live in a or everybody's white, unless you live in a very specific area of the world, or some random little town in the middle of nowhere. If you're in a major cosmopolitan city, be it Atlanta, Miami, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, it's multicultural, it's bicultural. by not including people that are of different races or different backgrounds, you're quite literally erasing people. So audiences in general, if they see something that speaks to them and that is very well done, speak out to the creators, the writers, the producers, the network that actually, took a chance on these stories, and celebrate them and commend them for doing that. If they are doing something that is not right, that you feel like is not representative of the community that lives in a certain area that is being explored in these stories, do the same thing. Social media, everybody has a voice with social media, use it. If you see a film, like let's say you see Meaty Brown or you see Lola and you really like it, and there's a film festival in your town in Indiana, connect us with the film festival in Indiana. The only reason indie or shorts filmmakers and indie filmmakers is because we haven't been discovered by those that have the power to give us the financing to make larger projects. So if they hear that other people are excited about our stories or about us or about what we have to say, then they're going to get excited about us as well. So your audience has a lot of power. I don't think a lot of people have tapped into that, but if you really tap into it, you have no idea what you can do for people by telling others, watch this film, donate to this film. Hey, here's this festival. Can you watch it? Like, connect to a network. Like you can actually reach out to a network and say, hey, I know this amazing director or writer or whatever. She would be great for blah show. Like, connect with them. You have a voice. You're on social media. It's a great opportunity. If you're not using it right now, you're wasting your time, especially right now during Corona. Like, people are spending hours on Clubhouse. Like, I don't have the patience to do that, but people are on Clubhouse or on Twitter, or they're on Instagram. Connect with them. Tell others about our work, and tell us that you like our work. We're doing this not just for us, it's bigger than us. We love to hear when you like something, and just let us know. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned social media. So we want to make sure we promote your website. Let's get that up on the screen, AnaLydiaMonaco.com. And you'll be able to learn about her projects, her incredible, rich artistry. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Wish you all the best. That's our show today, everyone. Make sure to subscribe to my social media, learn who will be on the show, and take care of yourself. It's tough out there, and take care of each other. Good night, everyone.